Greetings, hello everyone. Welcome to a cup of conversation with me, Nidra Simmons. I actually got something in my cup this time, so we're going to actually have a real kind conversation with a real cup of tea. I just want to come on and just give thanks to our grandparents, our great great grandparents, our great great grandparents, and great 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 grandparents, and all of the ancestors and angels and everyone that's played a part in our lives to help us get this far, to help us stay on track, to help us live the life that we need to live, and for always being there when actual people in the earth realm is not really there for you. So I just want to say thank you. I think we just came past, or we're celebrating grandparents week this week or this past week. So I want to give thanks and a shout out to all the grandparents and all the ones that are here with us and the ones that are not here in body form but are here in spirit. So I want to read a verse. This one is coming from Titus. I didn't write it down, but I have the Bible open to it. And I'm reading out of the New King James Version, and I'm going to come and read the Amplified version of it. But this is Titus 2, verses 1 through 7. I might read the actual King James Version because the Amplified version is a little bit long. So here goes. But as for you, speak the things which are proper for sound doctrine, that the older men that the older men be sober, reverent, temperate, sound in faith, in love, and in patience. The older women likewise, that they be reverent in behavior, not slanders, not given too much wine, teachers of good things, that they admonish the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, homemakers, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be blasphemy. Let me read that again. Sorry. Go back, rewind. It's titled Qualities of a Sound Church, but I'm looking at it as qualities of the generations of people that helped us beforehand. But as for you, speak the things which are proper for sound doctrine, that the older men be sober, reverent, temperate, sound in faith, in love, and patience. The older women likewise, that they be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they admonish the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, homemakers, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be blasphemy. Likewise, exhort the young men to be sober minded, in all things showing yourself to be pattern of good works, and doctrine showing integrity, reverence, and incorruptibility. Those verses to me sum up the qualities and characters that our grandparents and our ancestors has instilled through us, through our parents and their parents and so forth. So I want to give homage to them and to thank you for everything that you have done personally in my life and in the lives of others. Because, wisdom is something that we develop because it comes from generation to generation to generation. So we need to let's keep that wisdom growing. Every generation is a little bit different because you learn a little bit more and you know a little bit more. And my saying is, when you know better, you do better. So just continue to do better. I'm sitting out here in my patio. It feels so nice and cool right now. It's just nice. It's really nice. Just to change the subject a little bit, but if you're hearing noises in the background, that's what it is. But there's a few other verses I wanted to also go to, and these are smaller verses. And no, I'm not preaching or your Sunday school teacher. This is just a cup of conversation with me, Nidra Simmons, and we're just talking about grandparents and verses in the Bible that reflects our grandparents and reflects how we should try to look at as far as characteristics and qualities that you can have within yourself. Like I always come on to encourage and to help others, and that's my purpose, to encourage and to help others. I just happen to look at the Bible because the Bible has, it's like a marking point that is universal. So if you don't believe what I say, just know that it's coming from experience from myself and also from sound doctrine that everybody can relate to. But I'm going to Proverbs 17 verse 6. Psalms 17 verse 6. And I'm at 17 verse 6. I have called you, I have called upon you, O God, for you will hear me. Incline your ear to me and hear my speech. Nope, that's the wrong verse. Nope, that's the right verse. Let me read. That was amplified. Let me read it again in the King James. I have called upon you, for you hear me, O God. All right. You know what? This might not get recorded because I'm reading the wrong verses. I wrote it down from the internet, and I didn't research it first. I should have researched it first. So, oh, it's because I'm in Psalms. Let me go in Proverbs. That's where I want you to be at. Sorry. Proverbs 17:6. That can be a problem. We'll get it together. It's a calm Sunday, and it happened to be the 8th, which represents new beginnings. So on this new beginning day, I just wanted to reflect on our grandparents. I have two grandparents that are no longer here with me, but they played a big part in my life when they were here. My grandmother on my father's side, she played as a bridge. She connected me to that side of the family because if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't know that side of the family. Although when she was alive, I didn't get invited to any of the reunions that they had. And I admit that bothered me, so that's why I'm bringing it up out of the surface and out of my body and out in the air, because I am considered family, but I've never been invited to not one single reunion on my father's side. But it's all good. It's all good. You live and you learn, and I'm not mad anymore. I just released it. So, my grandmother on my father's side played as a bridge. She kept me in contact with my aunts and my cousins on that side for a little while, and then it just stopped. But still, I still was able to call her when I needed someone to talk to. She gave me sound advice. She's a wonderful woman. My husband respected her, and she had respected my husband. My husband's no longer here, but she had played a part in my development as I grew through life. So I want to give thanks to her. And my grandmother on my mother's side, who has been there for me more than my grandmother on my father's side. And it all plays out to how your parents, relationship is, and that depends on how you, in my situation, how I was able to have more time with one side of my grandmother than the other. But my grandmother on my mother's side, she was there for me. And I spent the summer with her, and it was during a phase of my life where I was boy crazy. Well, she was there. She shared some nuggets with me, and she was calm. She was never neither one of my grandparents were disrespectful to me. So I'm grateful for both of them, and I'm grateful to have had them in my life while they were living. I kind of wish I had a little bit more of a relationship with them both, as I got into my adult life years. They were there for my teenage and youth years, but as I got into my adult real life years, they were there, but not as close. My grandmother on my mother's side, she came to my wedding, and at that wedding we had 4 generations. We had my mother's mother, my mother, me, and I had my oldest daughter that was there. I was pregnant at the time with another one. So that was 4 generations that was at my wedding. And I can't remember life with my great grandmothers, but I do remember life with my grandmother, my mother's mother, my father's mother. And I am grateful for the time that I had with them on earth. And I know that they are here in spirit and they can see everything or more of me now than they did before. But no buts. I'm just grateful. But let's go to that verse. It was Proverbs 17:6, and it says, "Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children is their father." And that just goes back from generations and how we learn from one another and how we can continue to teach one another. Excuse me. Each generation it teaches a little bit more to the next generation. Another verse I want to go to is 2 Timothy 1:5. I don't have it marked, so I have to search for it. And I used to be so good to where I can just plug it into the Bible and I'm open up the Bible and there I am. But now I have to sometimes go back to the table of contents and find the actual section. But this is 2 Timothy 1:5. And I am not there yet, but I will get there. This might be a little bit longer because I'm actually looking up verses. But okay, so 2 Timothy 1:5. And that says, "When I call to remembrance the genuine faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your grandmother Eunice, and I am persuaded in this you also." So, although they have names in there of people in the Bible, you can reflect back to your actual own grandparents. And just, we are instilled things from them. Both of my grandparents believe in God and they love the Lord. And they instilled that in me as well. That's just another verse to qualify what I was saying about how things happen. Wisdom, it comes from generation to generation. And we learn from our grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers and great-grandmothers. I don't want to skip the generations, but all of their grandmothers that, come back down to at least 4 more generations. Another verse I want to go into is Proverbs 13:22, which I should have kept that part open, but I didn't. And this might be the last one I go into because it's time consuming to actually go back and find these verses. I'm hearing buzzing, so I was making sure there was no bee next to me. Proverbs 13:22. And I was thinking about this message, talking about grandparents since actually yesterday. And I wanted to come on last night, but I did not want to come on unprepared, which it looks like I'm unprepared. But nevertheless, I'm still here to give thanks and show appreciation to all of the grandparents here and not here, and those that had made a difference in our life, and those that who have willingly passed down wisdom from generation to generation. Again, this was Proverbs 13:22, and that reads, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous." And my grandfathers, I'm changing from grandmothers to grandfathers. I have never met my father's father, but I have met my mother's father, and I have maybe 1 or 2 memories of him. Not enough to share about, but that doesn't mean he wasn't there and he didn't contribute. Both my grandparents, grandmothers and grandfathers, have contributed to the making of me, just like the same for you all out there. So I'm showing gratitude and thankfulness to my grandfathers too. But the point that I'm trying to make is they all lived their life, and as each generation came on, they dropped some kind of nuggets into their children, which passed on nuggets into their children. And all of that is important. Don't let it go dormant, because we're in a world today to where, people don't appreciate the the makeup to how we are to be who we are inward, the deep soul of who we are. They're more focused on the outer you and how they can reconstruct your physical being, but we still need to know who we are and where we come from, so that we know who we are, and the making of who we are. I remember I went on a trip to Canada, and my maiden last name is Powell, and they did a search of the slave trade and different things of that particular last name, and it was spread out all over the place. So we need each other to verbally, physically, in real time, tell people about our children about our past, not just people, but you want to keep the generation legacy going. So you want to make sure that you talk to your children. You want to make sure you ask questions to your grandparents, and while they're alive, so that you can go ahead and pass on. And even when I say grandparents, my mother-in-law who passed, my kids' grandparents, I'm actually sitting on one of her blankets right here, that she let us have when she was living. And she had legacies that she was trying to instill with my children, trying to let them know about their past and who's related to them and so forth. So all of that is important, you know. So take some time to recognize your grandparents and ask them some questions about your history, your lineage, and try to, find out the making of who you are, and leave something for your children, so that they know who they are. So that way, when it's time for, or if they have questions, your legacy is not extinct. You're not leaving things, dormant, or not to be able to help your family members. So I hope I said something that was interesting. This conversation may have not been as intriguing to some, but it was very, it felt important to me, because, people are leaving this earth, and there's no set age on, the people that's leaving. And, and as you sit, as I get in my quiet time and I start thinking, there's a lot of questions that I wish I would have asked, to those who were living. I did ask my grandmother on my father's side a few questions before she has passed, but it was very helpful, because I didn't know, and she was willing to give me any answer that I had, to the questions. So, we are all important. We are all wonderfully made, and we all have a story to tell. So just take the time to learn about your history, learn about yourself and the making of your family and where you come from. Again, have a wonderful Sunday. Until next time, peace.